The voice behind my wall. I moved into that apartment because the rent was cheap. The realtor warned me that the walls were thin, but I didn't care. I lived alone. I worked nights. And most of my neighbors were quiet. At least, that's what I thought. The first night I heard a voice. It came from the wall beside my bed. At first I thought my neighbor was talking on the phone. The voice was low, almost a whisper. I couldn't understand the words, so I turned over and tried to sleep. The next night, it happened again. Only this time, I heard the sentence clearly. I just want to sleep. I froze, because that was exactly what I had said a few seconds earlier when I turned off the light. I sat up in bed and listened. The wall was silent. I laughed at myself. Maybe the neighbor had just said something similar. Maybe I was just tired. But then, from behind the wall, the voice whispered again. Maybe I was just tired. My chest went cold. It hadn't repeated my words. It repeated my thought. For the next few nights, I barely slept. I stayed completely silent in my room, but the voice still repeated what was in my head. When I thought, I should call the landlord, the voice whispered, I should call the landlord. When I thought, this is impossible, the voice answered, this is impossible. I started knocking on the wall. Who's there? Nothing. I pressed my ear against the cold wallpaper, and then I heard it, very softly. Don't knock. I jumped back. The next morning, I called the landlord. I asked him who lived in the apartment next to mine. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, there was no apartment behind that wall, just an old sealed corridor that had been bricked up years ago. That night, I came home with a flashlight and a small knife. I decided to cut a tiny hole in the wallpaper, just enough to see what was behind it. As the blade touched the wall, the voice whispered, don't look. I stopped. Then I thought, if I hear one more word, I'm running. The room went quiet, completely quiet. I leaned closer to the small hole, and that's when the voice whispered, finally. I looked inside. There was no corridor behind the wall. There was my room, the same bed, the same desk, the same window, and sitting on the bed was me. Only he was staring straight at me and smiling. Then he lifted one finger to his lips and whispered, now it's your turn to repeat.